Today we're going to look at sketching methods for straight lines. To sketch a straight line, you need the position of at least 2 points. We're going to show you the y-intercept method, and we use this gradient to find another point. So the y-intercept gives us 1 point, and the gradient triangle will give us a second point. In this first example, we're going to sketch the line y equals 3x minus 1. Now what you think is, well, is y by itself? It is. Therefore I compare it to y equals mx plus c. And we line up the things. Now we can see that the y-intercept is this second number, minus 1. It's by itself. It's not next to the x attached to it. So that is the y-intercept. Okay, that gives us a starting point. So we mark this point on our sketch. The next thing we need to do is to write the gradient like a fraction. Now any whole number can be written like a fraction. The gradient here of 3 can be written 3 over 1. That's because I want to focus on the vertical distance of 3 and the horizontal distance of 1. Okay, the next thing I want to do is realise that the gradient is positive. So we know that it goes up to the right in this direction. So we start at the y-intercept that we just drew, and we draw a gradient triangle to locate the second point. We sketch the straight line, label the points, and label the line with its rule. Sometimes you might want to use your knowledge of the gradient to also label the x-intercept. So your sketch of a straight line can have more than 2 pieces of information on it, 2 points if you want. Okay, let's show you how this is done in practice. Alright, so there's my rule, y equals 3x minus 1. And the first thing I do is I sketch my axes. I often put a 0 there as well. Okay, now this is our starting point. We compare this to our rule, y equals mx plus c. So I know the c is equal to minus 1. So I go down the y-axis to minus 1, we'll say there, and put my dot. Now I like to label these as I go. So I'm going to label it x is 0, y is 1. Now, the gradient is the next piece of information I'm going to use. The gradient here is equal to 3. But any whole number can be written over 1. Because the gradient is positive, I know the line was going up this way. So all I have to remember is that the 3 is the vertical distance and the 1 is the horizontal distance. So I'm going to do the horizontal distance first. So from the point I know, I go across 1 and then I'm going to go up 3. So I'm going to go across 1 first. Now I know where I am. I started at x equals 0 and at y equals 1, so now I'm at x equals 1 and y equals 1. Now I'm going to go up 3 units from here. 1, 2, 3, roughly. So I've gone up 3. I should put 1 on there so you know what we're doing. And then I'm going to put another dot. That's my second dot, or second point. And as I said before, I don't label it. I'm going to label where I am straight away. Well, where am I? Well, I started x equals 0, went across 1, so I'm at x equals 1. Also. Alright, so I'm at x equals 1. Now I started at minus 1, I went up 3. So I go up 1 to 0, and then another 2 to get to 2. So that's where I'm located. I've got my 2 points, so I draw my straight line in as best as I can. There it is, and the only thing I've got to do now is label it with a rule. Y equals 3x minus 1. And that's how we sketch a straight line. Okay, our second example, we're going to sketch the straight line y equals 3 minus 2x over 3. Remember, when it's written like this, the x is really up the top. Alright, what do we think? Well, we think y equals mx plus c. Now you don't always have the mx first and the c second, so it just works just as well when the c comes first. Remember, the gradient is the number right next to the x, and the other number is the y-intercept. So here we can see that the y-intercept is 3, and we mark this point on our sketch. Our gradient's already written like a fraction, and our gradient is equal to minus 2 on 3. That's the vertical distance is 2, and the horizontal distance is 3. Okay, so this gradient is negative, so we know it goes down to the right, like that. Start at the y-intercept and draw a gradient triangle to locate the second point. Sketch the straight line, label the points, the axes, and label the line with its rule. Now sometimes you might want to use your knowledge of the gradient to also find the x-intercept. Okay, so here's our axes, and I label them straight away. I like to also label 0, and there we go. Now, we compare y equals mx plus c. This time it's just been written the other way around, so we put the c first and the m second. So our y-intercept is 3. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in straight away. So we go in and we put 3. So about here, 1, 2, 3, we'll call it about there. I'm also going to label this straight away. 0, 3. Didn't make a mistake this time. Okay, now from that point we're going to use the idea of our gradient. Now our gradient here is minus 2 over 3. Now I make a decision that that's already going down. I know it's going down that way. So I'm really interested in this top number, which is the vertical distance. I'm going to change the colour. Vertical. And the bottom number is the horizontal distance. I'm going to use that to help me make my gradient triangle. So I'm going to use the horizontal distance first. So this goes across 3. So I'll go from here across 3 units. Where am I? Well, I started x equals 0 and y equals 3, so now I'm at the point x equals 3, y equals 3. And now I'm going down vertically 2 units. Let's change it over. I'm going down 2, which takes me to about there, and I put my second point. There it is. Now I should be able to figure out exactly where I am. So I'm going to label that point now. I'm going to use the black texture again. So where am I? Well, I'm at x equals 3. I started at y equals 3 and I went down 2, so I'm at 1. So that's the second point. Now I'm going to put my straight line in. So join those 2 points up. There it is. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's not with a ruler or anything. That's a bit wonky. Okay, what else do I need to do? Well, I should label it with its rule. Y equals 3 minus 2x on 3. Now I said before, sometimes you use your knowledge of gradient to find the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept is only 1 down from here. Sorry, not the y-intercept, the x-intercept's right here. So I've got to do it in the same proportion. The gradient is across 3 and down 2, but I only want to go down 1. So that's half of 2, so I'm going to halve the 3. So I go across 1.5, get my pen back. I go across 1.5 and down 1. So across 1.5 if you like, and down 1. Where am I? Well, I'm now at x, I'm at y equals 0, but I'm at x3 plus 1.5, which is 4.5 or 4.5. So that's an example of writing some extra information on your graph using your knowledge of gradient.